So let's talk some more about the visa validity and permanent residency in Australia. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be sharing with you how you can start living in Australia and become a permanent resident, and also take with you your family members who can also become permanent residents in Australia. Might I add, once you're living in Australia, you can also file, or should I say, get other family members back home to come to Australia to live with you as permanent residents. If this is something you'd like to hear about, stay tuned to the end of this video, and don't forget a thumbs up, share, and don't forget to subscribe. So guys, if you did not see my previous video on how you can re-enter the United States on your expired visa, you need to check that out. So let's get straight into Australia and how you can become a permanent resident there. Now, if you're familiar with Canada, you know Canada has this point system that you can actually stay wherever you are in the country, enter into their pool. It's based on points, and you may be eligible to get selected to apply to live in one of their provinces. Now, similar to that, Australia has a subclass visa system that's called Visa 189 that will allow you to be eligible to apply to live and work in Australia if you're invited after following certain steps. We will talk about those in this video. So the subclass 189 visa is for independent skilled workers who are not sponsored by a job, meaning you can be eligible to go live in Australia without getting a job first. So as I mentioned earlier, you don't need an employer to get this visa. You don't need a family member, and you don't need a state or territory to sponsor you to get this visa. It is going to be dependent on your skills and the points that you will make once you get onto the Australian immigration site. So to get this visa, you must first submit a expression of interest, which we will call an EOI, to the Australian government, who will determine if they are going to invite you to apply for the subclass 189 visa. In order to get this invitation, there are a list of things that you will need to have first. Let's talk about these things that you will need to have to submit as your expression of interest. Number one, your occupation. Your occupation must be on the list of required skilled areas that the Australian government is requiring. You can find those on the website, which I'll be sharing in the link below. Don't worry, because if you need further information, more videos will be coming. Number two, age is another factor. Just as in Canada, with the point system, the younger you are, the more points you'll receive. With Australia, they're saying you should be age 45 or under. I think that's a good age, because with Canada, they're more looking for people who are in their 30s. And if you're in your 20s, even better for you for Canada. So I'm thinking this is a very reasonable age that Australia is setting, age 45 or under, and you are eligible, applying for subclass 189 visa if you have all the other requirements. Number three, skill assessment. You must have a positive skills assessment from a relevant assessing authority for your nominated occupation. Number four, English proficiency. You must be proficient in English language. And number five, the points test. As I mentioned earlier, you need a certain amount of points for the Canadian system, and it's the same for the Australian system. They need a total of 65 points or more to be eligible to move forward in this invitation process. I did that, and when I put my information in on that points test, I made 75, and it's going to be dependent on the things that you select that is relating to you. So you can check that out also. So once you do all those steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I just mentioned, and you send those in, if you are eligible and you are invited to apply, you're going to have 60 days from the date that you got that invitation to apply for your subclass visa 189. The processing time for the visa, it varies, but take in mind, if you put your application in before you turn 45, that's going to be okay. You want to make sure you put your application in before you turn 45. Even if it gets approved after the age 45, you will still be secured because your application would have gone in before you turn 45. It is important to know that it is a very competitive visa, and therefore, if this is something of interest to you, you want to make sure you take the time to get it researched properly, get all your documents completed, put your paperwork in, and take it from there. So let's talk some more about the visa validity and permanent residency in Australia. The visa is valid for an indefinite period, which means that you can live and work in Australia permanently. However, you must meet certain residency requirements and maintain your visa status. Number 2, family members. You can include your partner and dependent children in your visa application. They will have the same visa conditions as you, and you can live and work in Australia for as long as your visa is valid. Number 3, healthcare requirements. You and your family members must meet the health and character requirements as part of the visa application process. Number 4, visa application fees. The visa application fee for the Australia visa subclass 189 varies depending on your situation and the number of family members included in your application. You may also need to pay additional fees for health and character checks and English language tests. Number 5, priority processing. The Australian government may prioritize the processing of certain visa applications based on factors such as occupation, location, and point score. You can check the current processing times on the Australian Department of Home Affairs website. Number 6, permanent resident pathways. I know this is what is going to be interesting for you. The Australia Visa Subclass 189 is a pathway to permanent residency, which means that you can eventually apply for citizenship if you meet the eligibility criteria. Please note also, with your visa, you can travel back and forth to Australia for up to 5 years. After 5 years, there's going to be another step. It is important to note that the immigration laws and policies in Australia can change frequently. So it is recommended that you consult with a registered migration agent or the Australian Department of Home Affairs for the most up-to-date information about visa subclass 189. So let's do a quick summary of what the visa processing is like. Number 1 is to check that your occupation is on the skilled occupation list and that you have 65 points to be eligible. Number 2 is to submit an expression of interest in Skill Select, and then you wait for your invitation to apply for the visa. Once you get that invitation, you're going to gather your documents, and then you're going to apply for your visa within 60 days of getting that information. I hope this provided you with some information that would give you some food for thought, let you think about your other options, make you want to do some more research. And if you have other questions, put them in the chat box below, and I'll be sure to provide you with more information in upcoming videos about this subclass visa offered by Australian government for skilled workers. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and share.